Hey guys, into the end here, it is October 30th or October 29th, but very close to October 30th, and the monthly reset is coming in a day, a little over 24 hours. So I want to make a video on doing the last minute rank climb. I'm currently ranked 114 on Masters, and I got Masters in draft, but I didn't record any of my recent drafts. So I'll do that later. But I think at the end of the month, wherever you are in your rank, I think a lot of people are making a mad dash for the best rank. I'm not gonna bother. I think once you're in Masters, it really doesn't matter if you're top 20 or top 100 or 200. I've usually finished within top 50, but this month I'm gonna be too lazy and probably too tired to climb myself. But if you watched my last video on the gimmicky combo deck with bad news and the West Wing Heralds and Cabal Spy Master, you will notice that my ranks is somewhere in the 400s, and in fact I dropped as low as 500s, and that was a little too low for me. So I wanted to do a little bit of gold grind to draft, and I ended up grinding ladder. It took me roughly one night to go from rank 500 to rank 70 with this deck. I pretty much directly imported this deck from ETS tournaments, and it's a Jito Stonescar Jito Queen deck that I tweaked a little bit. I removed some of the cards like the Shogun Scepter, which is a weapon, and I tweaked the number of certain cards, and I squeezed in 4 copies of Argenport Instigator because I think this is one of the most powerful 2-drops, and I also squeezed in 4 copies of Rakano Outlaw. So basically 8 card difference. Otherwise, everything else is the same. This deck is incredibly powerful. It can be a little bit swingy. You do go into bad streaks where you draw really bad hands and you lose, but because it's such a fast deck and you finish most games within 5 or 6 turns, you get to play a lot of games. And I think over the long run, this deck's win rate is pretty high. I think at my very best, I had a streak that was maybe 2 losses for 20 games played, maybe a 90% win rate. And at its worst, I think I was maybe 50-50. So if you average that out, it's still a pretty good win rate. So if you are looking to do a last minute ladder climb, this would be a very good deck to do it. I've never made videos like this before, so the point of this video isn't so much to showcase the deck, but really just, I guess, walk through some games with you and see how we do and try to climb ladder a little bit. This hand is not good enough. I think any other power would be good. Not even if I have a... You know what? Let me think about this for a second. No, this is good enough. This is a 1 power hand, but we have every single card in our hand we can play with 1 power and 0 for this one. So we're going to go ahead and keep this. So the point of this video really isn't to showcase the deck really, but really just to show you, hey, at the end of the month, everyone is doing a mad dash for climb. What options do you have? Well, this is one of the options. I climbed ladder with primarily 2 decks this whole month. One is this deck right here, and 2 is a Tavert Armory list. And that's just pretty common these days. Both decks have, in my opinion, a pretty high win rate. I will do some games with this deck here, and then I will do some climbing with Armory as well, and perhaps record it in a separate video. So we are power screwed, we're stuck on 1 power, but as you can see, we are able to vomit our hand anyway. So hopefully if we draw a land or 2 over the next couple of turns, then we can still overwhelm our opponent. Our opponent has wasted his 2nd turn playing a single spell on Torch, so even if he had other things that he wanted to play, it's stuck in his hand. It's not Stonescar. Of course it's not. So this is Armory. I don't love our chances against Armory because usually games with Armory is pretty close. I think you do have to on turn 5 or 6 kind of go with Hail Mary in with like a rapid strike and hope you get the win. But as it is like this, because we're stuck on 1 power the entire game, I think once they get to 5 power, it'll be very difficult to win. It'll be very, very difficult to beat a Tavern on turn 5, or even just a Harsh Rule on turn 5. But hopefully this will be a quick game, either win or lose. Okay, so my opponent's done nothing. It's almost certain that he has a Harsh Rule next turn, but we're still gonna run the Pyroknight out there, not because we're gambling that he doesn't have Harsh Rule, because even if you have it, it doesn't really make a difference, because I mean we have no power anyway, so we do absolutely have to play every single spell that we can play. He's gonna block the Knight here and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's exactly enough to finish him off. Okay, perfect. So we end up beating Armory with only 1 power. And that really goes to showcase how powerful this Stonescar deck is. It's when it draws well. I feel like when this deck draws very well, it can't lose. There's just some hands that you have where it doesn't matter what your opponent does, you just cannot lose. This is one of the reasons why I like playing this deck. That's not this hand though. And because games are fast, you can grind so many games within a short period of time. That's too bad. This hand's a little slow. I would really love to draw a Sigil off the top. I think that's the best draw we can have. Otherwise, this hand is a little slow. We're going to be 1 turn behind our opponent. Perfect. Alright then, in that case, let's start with a Pyroknight. He's probably going to torch it and attack us for 2. Let's see if this is Stonescar or Sky. Okay, so it's Stonescar. It's one or the other, Stonescar or Skycrag. We're not blocking because we're going to race him. Our hand is pretty good for racing. I think we're going to play the Argenport Instigator here. It blocks the best. And the fact that he didn't torch this is... Oh, no, he has a torch. Never mind. If he torched... Oh, he's chosen not to use his torch. If that's the case, what I think I'll do is actually... Actually, now I don't know. I guess it's better that he torched this than the Instigator, because I think over the course of the game, the Instigator will do more damage. My opponent is very patient. I mean, obviously he's rank 27. You don't get there by being bad. He have chosen to take an extra 2 damage to get a better target using his torch, which of course is a good play. Alright, let's just run these out there. But I am out-tempoing my opponent though. He has a lot fewer threats on board. Maybe he has a slightly bigger version of Stonescar. Mine's kind of all-in aggro with a lot of 1-drops. So here, we're going to get destroyed if we block. So we're going to go ahead and take 4. Because if you block these units and they have a rapid shot, they will kill your unit and trample over or overwhelm over for a ton of damage. So you lose your unit either way. So you're taking damage either way. By not blocking, I'm forcing my opponent to use his trick. Yeah, so by not blocking, I'm forcing my opponent to decide if he wants to use one of his cards for a little bit more damage, but that's it. If you're blocking, then they can use the other card for more damage, remove one of your threats, and be very efficient with their power consumption. This way, he's wasting his power, wasting his turn. It is by far the best. So usually you don't want to trade units with another deck if you're also a very aggressive deck. You want to be an offensive, you want to attack. You definitely don't want to block Pyroknights. That's all he has is Pyroknights. So now my opponent is afraid because he is running out of options. So I think this is going to end the game here one way or another. We have a trick, and then we have a way to stop his trick when he uses a pump spell. So I think this is pretty safe. Let's see. I do believe he has a trick in his hand, though. So let's see what he does here. Okay. It only blocks 1 unit. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we don't want to use... Oh, actually, let me teach you guys a really dumb trick with this game. If the button here says fight, when you can use instant speed spells, it means your opponent doesn't have one. If your opponent has an instant speed spell, it wouldn't say fight, it would say continue. So it's kind of a dumb trick. 6, yeah, so this will kill him, I think. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's one of those really weird mechanics that only belongs to Eternal. It's kind of unfair if you know how to abuse it. Whenever there's an opportunity for both opponents to play spells, if it ever says continue during combat, that means both players has a fast spell. If it says fight, it means only you have the fast spell and he doesn't. So by doing that, by simply watching the icon, we know for a fact that our opponent didn't have a fast spell. It's kind of cheating. It's not quite... I don't think the game is supposed to be designed that way. I don't know really what the reason is for why it happened that way, but it's something you can kind of exploit. So I'm a little bit hesitant teaching that to you, but you know, it might help you win some games. I read on Reddit that the reason why that is the case is because of the so in Magic we have a system called the stack, and basically it's a way of calculating who gets to have the first action. You know, in Magic, the active player always has the first opportunity to play their first fast spell. Only when they don't play it, then their opponent can have a chance to play the fast spell after. Now, in Eternal, that system doesn't exist. So I think at all times, both players always have the ability to play fast spells whenever there's an opportunity. So and you'll find that if you and your opponent both has a fast spell during combat and you see that continue button, you can actually just wait. The longer you wait, the more likely it is that your opponent will lose patience and pull the trigger first. And you know that with combat, it always benefits the person who goes second. So if you notice that your opponent, this hand is no good, we can't play anything. If you notice that your opponent has a fast spell and you have one too, then just don't play it and wait. Wait for the timer. At some point, your opponent is going to go, all right, I need to pull the trigger. Okay, we'll just play the Seed of Chaos here because we don't need... Oh no, we'll play the Diplomatic Seal for a fire. Instead of playing the Seed of Chaos because it gives slightly less information. Because at this point, my opponent could be wondering, is this Armory? Is this Stonescar? Is this Skycrag? Is this Praxis even? But if we play the Seed of Chaos, then it's just basically Stonescar and Stonescar or Armory. But the fact that we didn't play anything in the first two turns might make my opponent think that we're playing Armory. Okay. So let's do this. The goal is to next turn play Assembly Line, attack him, and then play the Lurking Sanguar. And then on the following turn, I will either play the Bandit Queen or the Rally, but most likely the Bandit Queen. The only reason why you would choose to play the Rally instead of the Bandit Queen is if they have a lot of blockers that the +1/+0 from Bandit Queen isn't good enough. And then in which case, you would use the Rally to do more damage and trade with his units. But usually though, you want to play the Bandit Queen. Okay, that's fine. We have no tricks. He gains 3 life here, which is really unfortunate. I think we're still going to rally at this point. Because getting rid of a life stealer is more important than playing the second assembly line. Because that thing would have gained him 3 life this turn, and it will gain him 3 more life next turn. Even when we attacked with the Bandit Queen, these Grenadines will only be 2/1, and he can still block. So that's gaining a lot of life. I think the life he gains off of that may be as much as the damage I can do additionally with the assembly line, depending on what he plays, of course. But getting that off the table would be very, very good. Okay, my opponent is in a lot of trouble here. I think it's okay to... No, you know what? I'm just going to attack him. Oh, no. So, I think he has another Iron, the Abductor. So we're going to offer the trade with the 4-2 and not give him 3 life for free. And then afterwards we'll play the Assembly. Oh, okay, he has a kill. He has a Death Strike instead. That's fine. We'll play Assembly Line. So now, on our next attack, unless he has a lot of blockers, we'll be doing a lot of damage. Barring anything very strange, we should win the game in 2 turns. Because the Zenin decks don't play multiple threats in the same turn. If they're playing 1 removal spell per turn or 1 defender per turn, they'll never be able to beat a Stonescar deck like this. Yeah, even that is too little at this point, I think. I have just too many units doing damage. Yeah, so even with the 3 life gang, he is down to 9. On the following attack, he is going to die 100%. I think the Zenin deck's biggest weakness is that it doesn't have a board sweeper and it plays 1 threat or 1 removal spell, because the removal spell that it plays are very expensive. It's either Banish or Death Strike, and 3 to 4 power removal spells are fine against very large threats that come out 1 per turn, but against decks like this one, it is absolutely horrible. I think even with that, I can still kill him. He'll gain 7 life. Oh no, okay. He'll gain a lot more life. He'll gain 8 life. Now it's a that's problematic. But he's he's actually dead because he wasted his mana so that he can no longer play the iron that is in his hand. So he's 100% dead. Yeah, I think Zenin is one of the easiest matchups for this deck. I don't think I've ever lost to a Zenin deck with this before. Okay. Okay, so I guess we'll just keep playing into our first loss. I think for those of you who have never played an all-in aggro deck like this one, like if you've always played sort of the mid-range aggro decks, you do need to change your mindset a little bit when you play this game. With mid-range and also late-game decks, you're constantly worried about value, card advantage, and often you're just trying to stabilize and defend yourself, and maybe in some rare cases you do race. But with this deck, it is almost always racing. You're trying to, and the way you evaluate cards and the way you consider the cards are very different, because every card must be considered from the point of how much damage can it do before it's used up. I wrote an article on Reddit and also on my own website that you can check out, and it talks about card efficiency. And what that is for aggro deck like this, the thing you care about the most is 2 measures. It is damage per power spent and damage per card spent. Every card and every power that you use has to result in maximum amount of damage in return. It is the only way you can win these games, because if you don't win this game by turn 5 or 6, you're never going to win the game. So, and that mindset is very different. You know, in a normal deck, you would never randomly play a rapid shot onto a 1/1 to do 4 extra points of damage. But in this deck, you would do that, because if you didn't do it last turn, you may have never have a chance to do it next turn, because your power is pretty low, your power count is pretty low, so you're always starved. And you always want to use your power as efficiently as you can and get in as much damage as you can. So this hand is really good if we have 1 more power. I don't think it's worth the risk though, so let's just go ahead and redraw that. Okay, this hand is much slower, but we still have a very good turn 2 or 3 play, and this is most likely going to be free on turn 4. That's kind of unfortunate. Rapid Shot, not a very good early game draw. My opponent's playing Argenport. This deck can only win if he manages to find a lot of Bloodletters and Fortunes very early, because then it gains too much life. So what I really don't want to see is Bartholo followed by a Bloodletter, Fortune, then I have no chance of beating him. But if he doesn't draw his life gain cards, then I can race him. Oh, so this deck is pretty aggressive too. All right. Um, I do I. The question is, do I offer the trade? I think he is also on the beatdown plan, and my hand is pretty bad. I think his beatdown plan might be better than mine, so let's just offer the trade here, which he won't accept, of course, because this is flying, so it's more valuable to him. Yeah, if we had a turn 1 play, then we could have had this 4-2 in play right now. Then it would have been a lot better for us. Because I would be happy to attack this into him and then rapid strike it to kill off one of his units and gain 8 life, because clearly he is trying to race me and he is going to win this race right now. Oh, especially when he has mass various favors like that. Gaining a life and I'm taking 2. And I'm losing the 1-1s is a big deal, because in this deck, those 1-1s do end up doing a lot of damage. And I have no way of blocking these things, so I'm hoping that this unit here is going to gain me some life to keep me in the race. But if he has a removal spell for it, then I think I'm going to lose this game. This is a very unusual version of the Argenport deck, though. I've seen this deck list be around, but the ones that I run don't usually play with Tranquil Scholar. And not that many of them play Argenport Instigator as well, I don't think. Okay, this is problematic. Alright, well, I think I'm losing this race pretty badly. Let's just go Hail Mary. I really hope he blocks the 4-2, because I can gain the most life off of it. If he blocks the 1-1, I'll kill his Impending Doom no matter who he blocks, but I would like to use the Rapid Strike on the here, because it gains me the most life. Okay, so if he plays the Bloodletter here, I think I'm toast. Or Falchion. Okay, that's more than fine. He can do 10 damage to me, bringing me down to 5. Oh, no Falchion, please. No Bloodletter, please. Because then I lose for sure. My hand's really bad. I drew too many power. I drew 7 power, and I don't know how many cards. I don't remember how many cards I drew. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I drew 5 cards, I think, and 7 power. And this deck has 50 cards and 25 power, so it really should be a... Oh, okay. Wow. That's a calculated attack there. I'm wondering why he didn't attack with the 5-5 instead of the 3-3, but I think maybe he's worried about tricks. So he's at 3. If I attack him with everything, he blocks this. Okay, so let's just start by torching that and see if he has any tricks. He has tricks, but he's not using it. Okay, so he's Annihilate. Oh, that's not good. Okay, that means I think I'm dead. I can't do 5 damage to him, but he can do 8 to me. Okay, so let's just wait. We win with any combat trick. Oh no, now we're toast. Now we have 2 units. I think we can still win if he attacks me with both units, and I have a Bandit Queen, perhaps. So I think my opponent's attack is wrong, because he can't kill me this turn no matter what. What he should have done was only attack me with 1 unit, and then finish me off in the following turn. But because we got mana flooded, we got 8 power and I think 5 or 6 cards. We do lose this game. Any trick would have done it. Any rally, rapid shot, Bandit Queen, a torch, all of those would have won us the game, because our opponent did make a mistake. He definitely needed to leave one of those units back, because there's no point in attacking with both your units if you can't kill off your opponent, right? It's a 2-turn clock either way. Why not kill your opponent on the following turn, nice and safe? Okay, so we lost the 1 game there. I'm not going to continue playing with this deck, I think. My goal really isn't to... this deck's been around for a very long time. It's not a new deck. I don't really want to showcase it. I don't want to do a deck tech. I just want to talk about the last minute climb at the end of the month. Most months I do my climb with decks that are really consistent, like Armory, for example. Last month I climbed using Elysian Beatdown, Praxis, or Argenport, but this month I'm using a much more aggressive deck, a little bit less consistent, but much faster, and I just want to show you that it can still work. I went from rank 500 down to, to about 70, and then dropped down to about 100 and so, and back to 70, and all within a very short period of time. So if you're interested in climbing ladder, if you're interested in hitting masters, or if you're interested in just hitting that next rank that you have not hit before, I highly recommend this deck. Once again, not extremely highly consistency, but very powerful, lots of games. So rather than trying to climb using win percentage, you use win rate per hour. The more games you play, the more you win per hour, and naturally you end up getting more gold and also naturally getting more ranks. Okay, so that's that deck. I think the next video I will use Tavern Armory, but let's end the video here. I didn't want this to be a super long video, just want to be a quick little thing. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up or a like, subscribe for other content. Thanks for watching.